My name is Anita Benefor, and I'm the placement student with for A Safer Space. Today I'll be talking about myths about autism. Autistic individuals are unintelligent. This is false. Individuals who fall under the spectrum vary in terms of unique characteristics and differences. They possess a lot of strengths and need to be celebrated for that. Autistic individuals deserve to be shown the utmost respect and dignity as they are humans just like anybody else. Autism cannot go undetected. Early detection is usually found within the first 12 to 24 months, but it can be found later on in life. A ASD diagnosis can slip through the cracks if the client has multiple health conditions or dual diagnoses such as ADHD or MID. They may also be diagnosed after getting notified from an educational professional. So like when they start school, a teacher or like a guidance counselor or a social worker might see the symptoms and then contact the family from there. So that could happen years into their childhood or adulthood. Or a life crisis, which then puts the family in contact with professionals able to recognize the disorder and then get them the appropriate supports. Another myth, there is a cure for autism. There is no cure for autism. However, there are many different individualized treatment plans which can help better the quality of life for these clients and their families. A lot of the times clients come in or their families come in under the guise that their child or their adult youth will be cured after staying in the residence or getting some sort of treatment plan with us. So it's our job as staff to explain and, allow the parents to understand and go through the grieving process that their child has this condition and it's a lifelong condition, and just kind of change the perception so that it's more positive and not negative. It's a condition, but given the right supports and the right treatment plans, it will make their lives easier. Autism is caused by substance abuse while pregnant. Researchers are still trying to figure out the exact root causes of autism in children and adults. While there may be some factors which aid or trigger certain symptoms in ASD diagnoses, it has not been proven as to what causes this unique brain wiring. Vaccines cause harm or trigger autism. This one is a very touchy one, but the answer is false. There's no direct link to autism and vaccinations. This narrative can actually be very harmful and dangerous to impressionable minds and vulnerable youth, right? When you're in the healthcare field and a doctor might suggest a vaccination for your child or, for an adult, it's always up to the parent or the caregiver to do their due diligence in finding research, making sure that these vaccines that are being suggested are healthy or are in line with the child's needs, right? But that doesn't mean that if you take a certain vaccine that will trigger autism. There's still a lot of research going on behind the scenes with this, so it's kind of dangerous to make those claims. Another myth, boys are more prone to having an ASD diagnosis than girls. So this one is a little bit, there's some truth to this, but then there also isn't. It's more about how it is marketed than it being more gender-based. So a study in the US stated that boys are 4.3 times more likely to have an ASD diagnosis than girls. The reasoning behind this is because boys tend to be the face of autism, specifically white young boys. So depending on where you live, there might be a push to get tested for autism while your mom is pregnant or, while the kids are very young. So that just happens to fall under that umbrella. Autism is a disorder that predominantly affects white Anglo-Saxon/European ethnic groups. So similarly to what I was just saying, young white boys typically are the face of autism. Why? They appear to get tested or diagnosed earlier than other races. However, things are changing. According to some research done in the US, an increase in overall prevalence could be due to growing awareness among healthcare providers for the need of autism screening and treatment. Experts, though, see some contributions from greater inclusion of children of different races and ethnic groups. For the first time, a US-based CDC report shows nearly identical prevalence in black and white children. Researchers had long suspected the previously seen differences reflected a bias against non-white groups rather than the true difference in prevalence, and the new study supports that idea. However, autism prevalence in Hispanic children still lags behind those of other groups. So again, because there wasn't a lot of awareness being exposed to other racial groups, this is why it seemed like it was a white a disorder that was typically targeting only white boys, but from these results we see that it's not the case at all. Autistic individuals have short life expectancies. So autistic adults need more consideration. According to Catherine Rice, who is a director of Emory Autism Center in Atlanta, Georgia, the new estimates nearly 75,000 autistic adolescents will become adults each year, confirming that autism is an important public health condition. However, it's always marketed towards little children and not really adults. They seem to fall under the cracks, Most communities are not prepared to inclusively and respectively address the many quality of life changes or challenges unique to those on the spectrum. As a society, we need to consider the long-term health and wellness of adults across the spectrum. So there needs to be more push for supports for adults on the spectrum, whether they are low functioning or high functioning. They are also people, and they should get the adequate health care that they need so that they can have a better quality of life. Autistic individuals cannot live normal, fulfilling lives. Again, this goes back to the stereotypes that autistic people are unable to do anything for themselves, that all of them are low functioning, that a lot of them are nonverbal. Yes, which is the case. However, with the right supports and with the right treatments, they are able to live normal lives, quote unquote normal. Many ASD individuals are high functioning, contributing members of society, working in the professional sphere, and can live independently with little to no support. However, with each ASD diagnosis comes its own set of challenges and limitations. So here are some strengths. A lot of ASD people have strong motor skills, so good hand-eye coordination, body-eye coordination, auditory language skills, for example. They also have a lot of good nonverbal reasoning. So this is the ability to understand and analyze visual information and solve problems using visual reasoning. So because they have very good memory, they're able to solve things quicker than somebody that maybe does not have autism. Also, they have excellent memory, which can help them, when they are navigating through life. They also have great computer proficiency, so they're very good with technology, very savvy with computer programs, and because of that, they're able to do a lot of things on the computer. They also have exceptional skills in creative and imaginative expression, so they are gifted in music, arts, writing, drama, anything creative they seem to excel in. Lastly, visual spatial ability. So this is the capacity to identify visual and spatial relationships amongst objects. So they have very good attention to detail. Autistic individuals lack empathy for others. People with autism can feel and express their emotions very well. They carry less mirror neurons in the prefrontal cortex of the brain than those who don't have ASD. This area helps us recognize and imitate behaviors in others that we can relate to on a personal level. So because of this, it makes it more difficult to experience or share pain in a socially acceptable manner for people who have autism. That doesn't mean that they don't feel for other people. It's just the way that they communicate it might be socially or might be considered socially inappropriate or socially awkward. So their ways in which they communicate their empathy might come off through crying or through painting and sketching something. They also might type or write out how they feel, especially if they're nonverbal. You might see them asking if they are in trouble when someone else is going through trauma or crisis, or if they are the ones that cause the pain. So they internalize that and they take that on themselves. They also might retreat and seclude themselves as they are experiencing intense emotions and feelings, which fills them with anxiety and fear. So the assumption that they don't feel for other people because they are able to communicate it in a socially acceptable way is actually wrong. That is the end of my presentation.